Hi, this is Victoria from crushcrypto.com. In this video, I will be discussing what practical Byzantine fault tolerance is. This is the fourth video on blockchain consensus mechanisms in our educational series. The first three videos are on proof of work, proof of stake, and delegated proof of stake, all of which you can find on our YouTube channel or on our website. Byzantine fault tolerance, or BFT for short, is the ability of a distributed computer network to correctly reach a sufficient consensus despite malicious nodes in the system failing or sending out incorrect information. The goal of BFT is to protect against catastrophic system failures by reducing the influence of these malicious nodes. BFT is derived from the Byzantine generals problem, a computer science term for a situation where involved parties must agree on a single strategy to avoid a complete failure. However, it assumes some of the involved parties might be corrupt or otherwise unreliable. These diagrams illustrate the basic concept of the Byzantine generals problem with different network sizes. These examples have only a few lieutenants or nodes, but one could imagine the increase in complexity for achieving consensus with hundreds of lieutenants in a distributed computer network. BFT is the characteristic that defines a system that tolerates the class of failures belonging to the Byzantine generals problem. BFT has been needed in airplane engine systems, nuclear power plants, and almost any system with actions that depend on many sensors. It also applies to blockchain-based systems where trust must be established in a distributed network of nodes. Practical Byzantine fault tolerance, or pBFT, is an algorithm that optimizes various aspects of BFT. In other words, it provides protection against Byzantine faults. pBFT has been implemented in several modern distributed computer systems, including some blockchain platforms. These blockchains typically use a combination of pBFT and other consensus mechanisms. Miguel Castro and Barbara Liskov introduced the pBFT algorithm in a paper released in 1999. It provided high-performance Byzantine state machine replication, processing thousands of requests per second. After the release of pBFT, more BFT protocols were introduced in attempts to improve robustness and performance. These address either the performance and cost issues or the robustness issues. pBFT focuses on providing a practical Byzantine state machine replication that tolerates Byzantine faults by assuming there are independent node failures and manipulated messages sent through specific nodes. Nodes in a pBFT system are sequentially ordered, with one node being the leader and others referred to as backup nodes. All nodes in the system communicate with one another, with the goal being that all honest nodes will come to an agreement of the state of the system using a majority rule. For the pBFT system to function, the number of malicious nodes must not equal or exceed 1/3 of all nodes in the system in a given vulnerability window. Similar to the proof of work consensus mechanism, the more nodes there are in a pBFT network, the more secure it becomes. pBFT consensus rounds are called views and are broken into 4 phases. First, the client sends a request to the leader node to invoke a service operation. The leading node then broadcasts the request to the backup nodes. The nodes execute the request and then send a reply to the client. The client awaits f+1 replies from different nodes with the same result, where f represents the maximum number of potentially faulty nodes. The leading node is changed during every view and can be replaced with a protocol called a view change if a certain amount of time has passed without the leading node broadcasting the result. Also, a supermajority of honest nodes can determine when a leader is faulty and replace them with the next leader in line. There are 2 projects that are currently using pBFT. One of these projects is Hyperledger Fabric. Hyperledger Fabric is an open-source collaborative environment for blockchain projects. It is hosted by the Linux Foundation using a permissioned version of pBFT for the platform. Since permission chains use small consensus groups and don't need the same decentralization as public blockchains, pBFT is effective for providing high-throughput transactions. Permission blockchains are private and operate by invite with known identities, which means there is already an element of trust between parties. This mitigates the need for a trustless environment and allows the network to reap the benefits of pBFT without the downsides. The other project that is currently using pBFT is Zilliqa. Zilliqa uses an optimized version of classical pBFT to achieve consensus on blockchain data. It also uses a proof-of-work consensus round approximately every 100 blocks to perform network sharding, where miners are split into smaller groups referred to as shards. Each shard is capable of processing transactions in parallel, yielding a high throughput for the network. The network uses multi-signatures to reduce the communication overhead of classical pBFT and have reached a few thousand transactions per second in their testing environments. There are a few benefits to using pBFT. First of all, the nature of it means that transactions can be agreed upon and finalized without needing multiple confirmations. There is no waiting period to ensure a transaction is secure after including it in a block. Unlike proof-of-work consensus mechanisms, pBFT can achieve network consensus without requiring energy-intensive computations. Some pBFT systems use proof-of-work to prevent Sybil attacks, but only after a set number of blocks and not for every block. pBFT also requires collective decision through voting on records by signing messages, unlike proof-of-work where only the leader proposes the next block. Therefore, every node in a pBFT system can be incentivized, lowering reward variance for miners. In terms of weaknesses, pBFT is a promising consensus solution when the group of nodes is small but becomes inefficient for large networks. This is because each node must talk to every other node to keep the network secure, which can quickly grow into huge communication costs as the amount of nodes scales upwards. The pBFT models is also susceptible to Sybil attacks, where a single party creates or manipulates a large number of nodes in the network and compromises security. This threat is reduced with larger network sizes, but considering the scalability issue of pBFT, it typically needs to be used in combination with another consensus mechanism. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter and Facebook, and join our Telegram group to receive our latest in our educational series and other updates. The invite link to our Telegram channel can be found in the video description. Hope you have a great day.